You just change your settings to what you see in the stream.
Yeah. So I started recording. Chat. What's chat? It's up to you. Yes, thank you, Chagorella, for your help. Oh, bat streamer. What do you mean, bat streamer? Yeah. So, does anyone need help with that? Because that display and the interface, that's the only things we're gonna set up now. And if you're done with that, you just press apply globally, and then we can move on. Is there anyone?
My interface looks different than the one on the picture.
But can you see default format for the new worksheets?
2 seconds. Yes.
Then I just need you to change it to worksheet.
Okay, done.
Yes. Anyone else?
Sorry,
all right,
come
then.
again?
Yeah. Do you need help with setting up the software or not?
No. I mean,
okay.
I mean, these settings are. I could use these.
What?
Nothing.
Okay. Then we'll just move on. As I already said, but not everyone could hear me because not everyone was here. Backups, and once more backups. That's the most important thing because Maple is a tricky software and it can crash, it can freeze, it can pull your leg, and it can mess up your whole assignment. So remember,
or even your exam.
Or even your exam. You need to submit part of your written exam as a file in Maple. I mean PDF, but written in Maple. So please make it your habit to press that save icon or Control S, or I don't know what it is in Mac. Just remember to save it, because yeah, sometimes Maple does makes the backup file, but it's better to just save it every time you do something. Yeah, here's a sad man that didn't save his assignment, and now it's all lost. If Maple crashes or freezes and you have to quit the program, you can try to restore the work done. And here's the path you follow. You already have those files, so I'm not gonna do it step by step. You just you know where to look for it. So now onto the explanation of why we set up software in the way we did. So, well, lecturers will expect your assignments to look like that. You have Maple input in bold red font and output in blue. But you can also, and that is the worksheet mode. As you can see, you can also put worksheet mode, worksheet fields in the document where you just write like in a normal document mode. And you can insert math fields in a document mode. You do that by pressing math here. One sec. You toggle text or math field here, and that it shifts between the mode you want to use at the moment. But on Windows, you can also press F5, and that will open the math field, which is like, yeah.
Also, you can do it by changing in between, like especially when you start writing quite fast in Maple, between like Control E for text mode and Control R for math.
Yeah. So yeah, in the sheet mode, there's a strong separation of text, math input, and math output, where each has its own font, type, color, and type style. Although it sounds weird, you can see everything in your write and sheet mode. For example, you can compare what is written here. It's literally, no, it's not the same equation, but you can see like how different it looks like and what is easier to read just by looking at the document, by skimming the document. Yeah. Now we can see what Maple can be used for. You always start Maple by using restart. You always need to type restart, and you always do that at the beginning of each task, each exercise you're working on. That ensures that all of the variables of all of the functions that you define in the previous exercises will not be called in this exercise. Pressing restart, writing restart, and pressing enter on it makes Maple forget about the past task. So yeah, you can first of all, Maple is a calculator. And you can just, yeah, you can just type something in the math field, like, let's say, pi over 4, and it'll calculate for you. That was not the best example, but yeah. You need, if you're European, you might be used to the fact that you use commas, but you cannot use commas here for the decimal numbers. You need to use points. Otherwise, if you use comma, Maple will understand it as a list, not a number, like here. If there's any questions, just either write in the chat or unmute yourself and ask it. No need to worry that you'll disturb me.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I am used to working in document mode, and I've heard that I can keep doing that.
Yeah, you can. You can.
But at some point, you also said that the professors preferred if you would write the calculations I see on the screen right now in red and the result in blue.
You know, honestly, I also preferred writing the assignments in the document mode, and you can easily do that. It's just that on when you first get to know Maple, and when Jesper introduces you to Maple, he will ask you to do what we just did, and but I've never gotten any comments on my assignments the way they looked like, even though they were in the document mode, not the worksheet mode. So
if I could just come with a comment, I've used document mode for all of my semesters, and if you're used to doing that, just continue doing it. And you just have to learn how to understand the worksheet mode as well, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would you write it up in document mode? Like, do you need the red text or anything like that, or is that it doesn't matter?
That doesn't matter. If you're just in math mode and you execute, it'll be the same.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but then you just have to be very careful about your exponentials and using the right E instead of actual E. So there's some stuff there.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
And as you see, when you first open Maple, you get to choose between the document and worksheet. Here's the document mode, where I just write some random stuff, and then I have a math field where I want to calculate, let's say, not that. Yeah, and that's how my assignments work. But most of you might use worksheet mode, and that's just what I just showed you, and then you have to like press that there's a text field, and here's the text, right? Yeah, it all takes time and practice to get used to either of the modes, but you will perfect it after at latest after the second assignment. Yeah, any other questions? There's more in the chat. Thanks.
Yeah, I just answered the question.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. You're a champ. So we go on to definition of variables and symbolic math. So basically algebra. You can define variables like we do here. Remember that when you define a variable, you need a colon and equal sign, because otherwise, if I remove the colon, then, oh, let me just, okay, I restarted, I removed the colon, and I have D. But then when I call G, it will just say, okay, G is equal D over 3, because that's what I did. But when I want G to call the actual value of D, I need to remember to put colon, and then I can call it. And yeah, you can also like, okay, what was G? Let me remind me, what is G? Another question in the chat. Oh, Alexander is just being helpful. So yeah, here's another variable that is just test equal to D plus 3 times G. And notice that this has already the values that we have defined earlier. So it doesn't give you D plus 3 times G, only the respective values. And then we call test, and test is O. Yeah. Remember to press enter after each calculation or defining a variable or a function, anything. That way Maple saves it and can use it later. So yeah, here is assigning a value to a variable.
Why is the text red?
Because it's in the worksheet mode. So that is the difference between the document mode and the worksheet mode. In the worksheet mode, all the calculations are in bold red font.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah. So here we save the values for A and B, and okay.
How do you write text? How do you write text in worksheet mode?
Well, you can press that T I'm pointing at. So if I was here with my cursor, I can press T and insert text if I want it here.
You'll press Command T like on a Mac.
Okay.
I think it's a Command T. I think it is.
Okay, Command T. I don't know what it is in Windows.
It's F5.
That's just math, but it doesn't insert the next line. Anyways, so now I call A, But remember that if you saved a variable with lowercase a, but you call an uppercase a, it's just a letter. We didn't save it as anything. We didn't assign any value. So when you call when you define a lowercase letter, you need to call a lowercase letter. And yes, so you've used a letter as a variable. You call it, you call A, you call B, but now you think, hey, I might want to use A and B later. So there are 3 things you can do. You can type restart and Maple forgets everything. You can scroll, like on the left you have the palettes, and you need to scroll all the way down to the variables, and here you see the variables A and B. You can right click on them and say unassign, and that is just if you know that you have saved a variable or a function and you accidentally deleted it, and you know that you're not going to use it, but Maple still calls it, then you can just go here and unassign it. But I'm gonna reassign it by pressing enter again. And now you can see, yeah, here. Now you can see that A and B are assigned again because I pressed enter here and here where we assign everything. You can also do that, and that is just removing the value from the variable. So yeah, we can solve equations. We have an equation saved here. We know it's equal to 0. What do? We say that x is equal to, and that's a command. That's the first command you learn. That's solve, and in parentheses you put L, which is the equation. You can also put the whole equation instead, but we're being smart and we wanna do it as fast as we can. I'm just gonna show it to you now. So we have the equation with an unknown, and then we call an unknown. That might not give much sense now, but if you have an expression with a lot of letters and not many numbers, then you can just call an unknown, and then you get the expression for the unknown, like depending on other variables. Oh yeah, that's what they did here. Now, see, that's the first error. You will see that error many times. What is wrong? Anyways, yeah. We can also solve for, oh, yeah. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, I was just about.
Yeah.
Don't forget to put operators, especially in Maple TA, because like you can solve it perfectly, but if you miss like a multiplication operator, they are not going to take in consideration your result, and that's the point.
Yeah. You can also solve an equation with 2 variables, but you also need 2 equations for that to work perfectly, and then you use solve, and in the parentheses you open the I don't know what they're called, but I call them the butterfly parentheses. Just bear with me. The first you go with the equations and then the variables. And also, funny thing, if you know a command, but you don't remember how to use that command, like you know there was something with the parentheses, but you don't remember what, you can just type the question sign and solve. You press enter, and you probably don't see it right now. I'm just gonna switch it to another open, so another window. So this is what popped out. This is the documentation for solve for the whole command. So you see the calling sequence, you see how to use that sequence, you see the description, and the most important, examples. So if that doesn't explain to you what that command is and how to use it, you can easily see the examples that you can then understand and use in your assignment. Yeah, and that works for every, I'm sorry, I'm back. That works for every command. If you know there is a command, but you don't remember how to use it, just ask Maple how to use it. Yeah. So yeah, this is a very relatable meme. Yes, help also helps. Yeah, it might be frustrating with Maple because it's not that easy to define a function, and you can get mad after a few hours of working on your assignment. Why isn't it working? But you never called it a function, and I'm just going to show you how to call it a function. So again, restart, so that Maple, see, if when I pressed restart, my variable palette just emptied. So we start anew. So here's a function, okay? F is 3 times x squared plus 1. Well, yeah, we want to know how much is f of 2, but hey, didn't work, right? So let's see what is the correct way. So yes, that is one of the ways to call a function, to define a function. You use unapply and parentheses. The first spot is the function, comma, and the variable. And this is the output. If you see that in any, no matter what way you're using, if you see that, that means your function is called correctly. Now you want to call f, but f is just a letter, so you get an f. But if you call f of x, oh, sorry. No, what? Yeah, you call f, that's f. But if you call f of x, you get the function you made. And here's another function, and another way of calling a function. You save it as g of x, g colon equals to x, and an arrow. So literally the same way as it is here. And then you can call g of x, and it gives you the function. If you have saved your function this way, then you can do whatever you need with that function. You can use the function to define the values of the function with the given variables. You can also define a function with 2 variables, which will be useful later on. The principle is exactly the same. You just need to put a parentheses with 2. Oh, there's a question. Why are the semicolons necessary? They don't seem to make a difference when you execute. Well, that's, yeah, they mark an end of a statement, but also that's just I think that's what Maple does. Yes, I remove them and nothing happens. I'll get back to it later. Yeah. So once you call a function of 2 variables with parentheses and 2 variables here, then you can also call the value of the function and calculate calculate the value of the function with the given variables. We go on to calculus. Yes, our favorite part of math. So we saved the function f of x at some point. We saved it here. Now we can call it again, and it pops out again. Now, if you want to know how to differentiate it, you just type diff, and then in parentheses, the function you want to differentiate, and the variable. And then it calculates it for you. The same goes with integration. Now, if you, yeah, one sec. What is G? Here is G. Yeah. So here we have the function g of x, and it's differentiated. Here we have some comments. Remember that Maple doesn't include constant in the integral, so that's something you have to include yourself. Yes. And that is, if you see something like that, that means it's triple integrated. Yeah. Can someone mute their mic? Because I can hear you eating. And your TV. Yeah. So if you want to calculate that was not definite integrals. That was just integrals. But if you want to calculate the definite integrals, then you need to set the limits, and that is how you set them. Notice that if you want just an indefinite integral, you put just x in the there's a question, how do we include a constant? You need to rewrite the output and plus a constant. Also, one important comment, you always need to, you don't leave the output the way you get it is. When you get an output of a calculation, you always need to rewrite it yourself as an in conclusion in the assignment. So we have a function, okay? I call that function, and when we integrate it, we get that. So in conclusion, the indefinite integral of that function is that. You always need to do that. Plus, I'm sorry, but I hear someone watching TV and eating and laughing to that TV. It's really annoying. Please mute your mic. Yeah, and then when you wanna, in conclusion, when you wanna call the definite integral, you set the limits. Oh my god.
I think you can mute everyone else.
Yeah. I'm just yeah, I can't remember where it was. I know there was a thing, mute globally, but yeah. So, as Camilla said earlier, we can call an exponential function by typing exp and in the parentheses the I think it's called the power, yeah. And any other, what the hell, Camilla? And other functions like natural logarithm and logarithm of 10. I don't know why it calls ln. And the square root of x, and oh, that's another way to put a root. That's a cubic root. So there's some other trigonometric functions that also works fine with the with Maple. But yes, there's a question in the chat. Log NL if you don't define the base of the okay. Jonathan says that logarithm and natural logarithm is the same if you don't define the base for the log function, I think. Yes, and Chagarella says that simplify is also going to be your best friend, which we're gonna talk about later. Don't worry, we've included that.
Simplify would work with your life, it'd be so fucking good.
Yeah. And remember that correct me if I'm wrong, but Maple works in radians, right?
See, that's true.
Yes. So you need to remember that if you want an answer in degrees, then you need to use this calculation.
Sorry, Claudia, there's another way. I can maybe do like a little description of it on the event.
Yeah.
So you can do it easily.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
And well, the newest, the latest topic for you guys, the imaginary number. It's always you call the imaginary number I as capital I for Maple. Otherwise, it doesn't understand it. And we have some general stuff, tips and hints, and then we're gonna have a break after that, and Maria will take over. But let's finish this one. So now we get back to restart, and Maple can write special characters as symbols written in text. So pi, rho, theta, gamma, phi, infinity, omega, and capital Omega. That's all here. So you don't have to. There's also a palette of a Greek alphabet, but you really don't have to scroll down to find every Greek symbol you need. You can just type it in, as long as you know it's how it's called. Use subscript to keep track of your variables. You make a subscript by pressing the underscore twice. Let me show it to you. Yes, so a underscore 1 equals 10. And you see a pretty nice subscript. Also, if you're gonna use pi, and you're gonna use it a lot, you need to remember to type in capital Pi and not lowercase pi, because for the lowercase, it's just a symbol. And if you write it with uppercase, then it actually is a number that Maple can use further in computations. And if you write it all uppercase, then it's just an uppercase pi. And a helpful trick, if you use the percent sign, that means last executed. If you see 1% sign, that means the previous one, the previous operation, while the free signs get you back 1, 2, 3, cosine of pi, cosine of pi. Yes, another one. You can, as I said earlier, you need to refrain from using commas, because commas make you make a list in Maple, and that's okay if you want to make a list. You can also call separate elements of the list, and it's not Python. It doesn't have a 0 index, so it calls, when I call the second element, it's 1, 2, 5x. Another question. Yes, you get the sheets. You get the. Oh, Chagarella wants me to show the whole palette. Okay. Okay. I just wanna tell you all that I don't have the palettes you have, because I took all of them in for the sake of today's show. So yeah, I'm gonna show everything to you as per request. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Nice. So what I meant was like, if you're gonna have a further course that's gonna involve using different notations. For instance, I have a course where you really want to know how to write Laplacian. You can actually do the whole palette where you can find all the things to use if you're in doubt, actually, because I noticed that when I did my notes in a certain course. For instance, you can see the operators there to your left also.
Yeah.
So it's just a good thing to have.
Yeah.
As I've come to learn.
We were going to talk about it later, but as per request, yeah. So here are the
but
palettes.
How do you enable it so you can see all the palettes?
I'm gonna send the file later to you, because that's the file we have on the general engineering all generations, and I don't think you have access to it.
Chagarella, do you know how to add the palettes to the palette tab?
Yeah, I think I do.
There's a question in the chat. I just don't know how to do it.
Yes. So if you go to the top bar on your left, if you're a Windows user, you can press View. Then you can find the palette section.
That's here?
And then press Show All Palettes.
Yes.
It's going to get clocked really fast, but it's a great way to have all the things you need. And it's going to keep that saved for next time you open Maple, so you have all the things.
Yep.
You can also pick which ones you want to show on the show.
You can also do that.
That's probably easier.
That's probably easier.
Oh,
yes.
and another useful thing, if you find yourself using one symbol way too often, and you're tired of scrolling down every time you need to use it, you can right-click and add to the favorites palette, and that palette is right on top. So here's all the symbols I usually use for my assignments. Yeah, let's go on with the introduction. Yeah, so you can also work on the result. You can manipulate the result. If you want to work on one side of one side of the equation, you can call right-hand side or left-hand side, and it gives you the right-hand side and left-hand side of the equation, and you can do whatever you want with that further on. And now, yes, we have some equations we want to call, and so both y and z are equal to 0, and you want to solve it with regards to y and x. So you call it, and then you see if you call it y and x, that means here's y and here's x. If I do it the other way around, oh great, again, no, it's I'm wrong. We're solving y for x, and that's the x's that give us 0, and x1 is solution 1 and x2 is solution 2, like here, like shown. Now we talked about multiple equations. I'm just gonna repeat that here. You can solve multiple equations with regards to one variable or two variables if that's needed. And here's how. It's okay if you don't remember how to use solve. Remember to put question sign and solve, and Maple will show you how. And now the solutions can be combined. Solutions 1 and right-hand side of solutions, yes. Move on to the, yes. Maple Help and Google.
Question.
Yeah?
Those funny brackets you're making of the solution with
Yeah.
the y, z,
yeah,
are they necessary?
Yes, they are necessary, because you need to let Maple know that this is not just a set of 3 equations. So you emphasize that these are the solution. These are the equations Maple needs to solve, and this means that this is the variable it needs to solve with regards to. So there's always, for solve, there's always 2 variables, 2 inputs. The first one is the equation, and the second one is the variable. And if there's several, you need to emphasize which are which, so that Maple clearly knows what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, and as
That
we've
answers
already,
my question.
yeah, great. And as we've already mentioned several times, you will need to Google stuff for Maple, because it's impossible to learn everything from us. It's impossible to know everything just the way it is. There's always some more new commands coming, and the easiest way to keep track of it, or to like knowing what you need to use for your assignment, is to ask Maple for help, for documentation of each command. You can say help and in parentheses solve, or just Google. There's a website for Maple and the documentation of Maple. Yes. So
Also, just Remember that after every lecture, Jesper is going to upload demo for Maple for that chapter especially.
Maybe not every lecture, but if there's a new command, like you need to know that the command, then it will be uploaded. So that's where you can also find some help regarding the up-to-date questions and exercises. Apart from that, there are some useful buttons where you're gonna use a lot, like this button, 3 exclamation points. This means run everything, so every operation here will be run again, just to be sure. Do this a lot, because if you want to submit your PDF file to your assignment and you're not sure if you've pressed enter on all of the computations, just do that again. But if you're using a document mode and you're using a math field to make some pretty equations that are not a part of a computation, that may ruin your assignment. So yeah, be careful with that. If you're using document mode, if you're using sheet mode, press that as many times as you want. This pretty boy, it's right here. That means stop a calculation. Right now, it might not occur for you, but sometime later in your studies, it might be that you have to calculate something that is very, very heavy for Maple to calculate. And that may crash your Maple, and we don't want that. So if you see this red, then it means that you wanna interrupt the like M. Taylor. You wanna stop a calculation. And these 3 zoom into the graphics, the graphs, etc. Remember that if you write A after an equation, it won't show anything, at least in document mode. This is nice if you're writing a definition or a really long solution or something. Yeah, that's a useful comment. And I think we're gonna take 10 minutes break. And I'm not stopping the meeting. Well, I'll just see you 25 past.
Also, guys, in the break, hit us with some spicy memes that you guys did.
Yeah, send us memes, and the more memes, the better. If they're about your vectors, it's even better. But there's also a question from Lucas, and he's asking, how do we make sections? Well, that's a very easy thing, because I'm gonna just control dot. Yes. So here's a section. Chagarola helped us. Chagarola is the savior of all. Control dot, but also this. This opens a section. And if you want a subsection, then you do it again. No, I want here. I want another subsection. Oh, no, that was a page break. Control Enter, page break, guys. And another subsection. Yes. So that's how you can. They're not necessary, but some of us find it quite nice to organize the assignments. All right.